Nobel Peace Prize song by Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. Nobel Peace Prize song by Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. Nobel Peace Prize song by Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts.
The 14th Dalai Lama, will you please enter the podium and receive the Nobel Peace Prize for 1989 with a gold medal and a diploma. The 14th Dalai Lama, will you please enter the podium and receive the Nobel Peace Prize for 1989 with a gold medal and a diploma.
जमीन पे लेके वो ऊपर वाले का फरमान वो दोस्तों का है दोस्त यारों का है यार जिसका नाम सुन के कांपे हर शैतान
और अल्लाह और भगवान ने बनाया एक इंसान
for being here today. And before we start, I would like to inform you that we are going to start the panel discussion and the inaugural session within a couple of minutes as we are waiting for our esteemed panelists to kindly arrive at the venue. So, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So now, before I move on with the inaugural and the panel discussion session, I request all the participants who are at the backside to kindly come in front, as we are expecting more number of people on the way. I request all the participants to kindly come in the front seat so that we can have space for the people who are on their way. Yes, thank you. I would like to inform all the participants that we have quite a number of spaces here. So I request all of you to kindly fill the seats in the front row. Thank you for your understanding. May I request the participants to be kindly seated, as I would like to proceed with the session. Thank you. A very touchy delay to all of you. Before I proceed, I humbly request all of you to kindly switch your mobile phone to silent mode, or you can keep it on airplane mode so that we do not have any interruption during the ongoing session. Thank you. My name is Kunda Chindan. I am the program coordinator of Tibet House, the cultural center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi. And it is my utmost delight to be moderating today's inaugural session and the panel discussion as well, pertaining to the very celebration of the 36th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama in the year 1989, December 10. Now may I take this very opportunity to welcome all of you today for this very celebration. And with this, I would like to extend our warm welcome to our esteemed chairperson for today's panel discussion, Professor Renuka Singh Ji, an active sociologist and the current director of Tushita Mahayana Meditation Center, New Delhi, and our distinguished panelist, Professor T.K. Mishra Ji, who is the former vice principal of Ramanujam College, University of Delhi. Then we have Venerable Professor Kaveri Gill Ji, who is the non-resident senior fellow, Center for Excellence of the Himalayan Studies, Shibnada University, Delhi NCR. And then we have Mr. Jas Kalra, who is the president of the Earth Saviors Foundation, Delhi. And last but not least, we have Mr. Lokesh Jindala, who is an engineer by profession and the student of Nalanda Buddhist Philosophy, NMC, Tibet House, New Delhi. I also welcome our director, Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula, on this very celebration event. And last but not least, I thank all the participants here who have joined with us for this very celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, I request all of you to give a huge round of applause for this very celebration event and to mark the very beginning of this celebration. Thank you. Now may I request our eminent chairperson, Professor Renuka Singh Ji, and our distinguished panelists, Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula, the director of Tibet House, the cultural center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi, to kindly come on stage and light the lamp of eternal wisdom to mark the very beginning of this today's auspicious ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our esteemed chairperson and our distinguished panelists and our director, Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula, on stage with a huge round of applause. May I request the eminent chairperson and our distinguished panelists to kindly lamp the eternal wisdom before we begin this auspicious ceremony. As we light the lamp of eternal wisdom to mark the very beginning of this auspicious ceremony and for the very long life of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama on the 36th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to His Holiness. Thank you very much, eminent chairperson, and our distinguished panelists, and Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula. I request all of you to kindly be seated. Now, I would like to invite our director, Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula, to kindly offer the souvenir and the white scarf kata to our eminent chairperson and our distinguished panelists for today's panel discussion. First, we have our eminent chairperson, Professor Renuka Singh Ji, the current director of Tushita Mahayana Meditation Center, New Delhi, and who is going to chair today's panel discussion on universal ethics. Then we have Professor T.K. Mishra Ji, the former Vice Principal of the Ramanujan College, University of Delhi. Third, we have Venerable Professor Kaveri Gilji, non-resident senior fellow, Center for Excellence in Himalayan Studies, Shivnada University, Delhi NCR. Mr. Lokesh Jindalla, who is an engineer by profession and the student of Nalanda Buddhist Philosophy, Nalanda Master's Course, Tibet House, New Delhi. Thank you very much, Gishila. I would also like to inform you that we have our panelist, Mr. Jas Kalra, who is the president of the Earth Saviours Foundation in Delhi and who is expected to reach at the venue shortly. Without any further ado, I would like to inform you that today it is a great joy for me to be hosting this very celebration of the 36th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. And may I take this very opportunity on behalf of Tibet House, the Culture Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi, and also the global population on behalf of 8.2 people across the globe, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama for receiving this Nobel Peace Prize award in the year 1989, December 10, for his very advocacy on peace, compassion, and non-violence, which is truly a very symbol and a beacon of light, which is very much useful and very much needed in today's current situation, I would say. Now, before I begin this lecture, I would like to give you a very brief introduction about Tibet House and its activities. Tibet House, New Delhi was established in the year 1965 by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet for the purpose of preserving the cultural heritage at the time when it faced forceful challenges in Tibet, as well as for providing a center for Tibetan culture and Buddhist studies. His Holiness the Dalai Lama's persistent emphasis on cultivating universal harmony and compassion as a means to address global suffering, together with his encouragement for genuine exchange among diverse religious and cultural traditions, has deeply shaped the purpose and the work of Tibet House, New Delhi. Tibet House aims to bring together Buddhist masters, Tibet lodges, scholars from various disciplines, students, practitioners, and the general public through its diverse programs and events. It continues to broaden its effort in preserving Tibet's heritage while exploring meaningful contribution to the ethical development of the modern society. Over the past 5 decades, Tibet House has emerged as a prominent institution for the dissemination of Tibetan culture and the promotion of the Nalanda Buddhist studies. Tibet House is a 5-story facility housing a museum of Tibetan art and artifacts, a library with nearly 5,000 manuscripts and books, a resource center, a conference hall, a gallery, and a bookshop. It offers a wide range of study programs on Nalanda Buddhist philosophy, along with interdisciplinary conferences on subjects such as neuroscience and psychology, quantum physics, spiritual ecology, and universal ethics. Its publication unit produces several books each year, and its program division regularly hosts lectures, seminars, conferences, film screenings, and exhibitions. Tibet House currently offers 4 structured courses in Buddhist philosophy and psychology, along with a comprehensive Tibetan language course. The Nalanda Masters course, it was launched on 9 December 2016 during the 51st anniversary of Tibet House in the presence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and has successfully completed its first batch with 372 students from 44 countries. The second batch commenced in July and now has around 900 participants and from 54 different countries. The Nalanda Diploma course was introduced in the year 2018 as a 14-month program for those seeking deeper philosophical study alongside other commitments, and has completed 4 batches. The 5th batch was launched on 9 July 2024 on the occasion of Chogot Tujin, observed at the sacred occasion marking Lord Buddha's first turning of the wheel of Dharma. And I'm also very pleased to inform you that the Nalanda Diploma course batch 5 was completed on 7 December 2025, and the new registration for the NDC 6 Nalanda Diploma course batch 6 will tentatively begin in the month of March 2026. The Nalanda Certificate course NCC 3, the registration for the NCC 3 will tentatively begin in the month of August 2026. I'm delighted to inform you that we will soon begin with the registration for the NIC 2, Nalanda Introductory Course Batch 2, in the month of May or June 2026 tentatively. For more information, please feel free to reach us via email at nalandacourses@tibethouse.in, or you can visit our website for more information on the Nalanda Buddhist studies. And also kindly note that information of the Nalanda courses for the on the website is for the current ongoing courses and will be updated soon. On June 2023, nearly 500 students from the Masters and Diploma programs received a special audience and blessings from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who also bestowed the oral transmission of J. Rinpoche's In Praise of Dependent Arising. Over 4,000 students from 98 countries are currently enrolled in Tibet House academic programs. The Tibetan language course, offered in 4 levels at a nominal fee, has completed 29 batches. And I'm very delighted to inform you that the new registration for the 38th batch of Tibetan language course sorry, yeah, for the 31st batch of Tibetan language course will begin in the month of April 2026. Now coming back to our main event today, before I move on to the main event, I would like to also inform you that we have a recent Tibet House new publication on display. First, we have the three eye-opening and well-known commentaries on Mula Madhya Kakarika, Part 1 and Part 2, which is in Tibetan. And then we have a study on the rock art and inscriptions of Alchi Ladakh, followed by How the Middle View held by all Tibetan Buddhist schools conversion to one. And last we have the book on tracing the footprints of Jade Tsongkhapa. So those of you who are interested to buy these books, it is available in Tibet House website. At the same time, you may also contact our museum and publication in charge, Mr. Tenzin Leman, for more information on the books. Now, coming back to our main event today, it is with great joy that Tibet House, New Delhi welcome you to commemorate the 36th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and to participate in today's distinguished panel discussion on universal ethics, a theme of immense significance for our global community. This will be followed by a celebration marking the successful completion of the 29th batch of the Tibetan language course and the conferment of certificates to its students and a culture performance. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our esteemed chairperson, Professor Renuka Singh Ji, an eminent sociologist and director of Trishita Mahayana Meditation Center, New Delhi, for graciously accepting our invitation. My heartfelt gratitude also goes to our distinguished panelists for joining us today and light this gathering with your insightful presentation. I would further extend my deep reverence and sincere supplication to Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula, whose guidance and inspiration have been valuable contribution to making this celebration possible. And to all the attendees on this very auspicious occasion, thank you for being with us. Let us all pray for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and congratulate him on his 36th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to him on December 10, 1989 in Oslo, Norway, for his continued advocating on peace and compassion. Now, without any further delay, may I now invite Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula, the Director of Tibet House, the Cultural Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi, to kindly come to the podium and address today's gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdula.
Thank you, Khonchen Dela, and also all the participants here. And today, as Khonchen Dela indicated, that really marks the 36th, the year that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is awarded Nobel Prize. And so why this day is to be celebrated as a very important day is for the reason that the world, wherever we look at, everywhere on the global level or on the domestic level, we see that there are complications, there are conflicts, there are the fights happening everywhere. And even in, say, the educational institutions, in the different centers, NGOs, and so forth, we see that these complications are there. That's very unnecessary. So where, looking at the beings, the human beings, we see that we all have the same identity. We're just the same as the members of the same family. And this is reality. So contrary to the animals, contrary to the vegetations, the human beings, we all have there's a similarity there, which is so precious. At the same time, complications are there. So why this is happening is
let us see the world like preschool. Preschool meaning that all small children live there. And small children, the tendency for small children, the very definition of small children is not knowing what is tomorrow, not knowing the bigger consequences, not knowing the larger, the benefits, demerits, and so forth. And amongst the children, we see that each one of us who have been that small child long time ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, except for these little kids from the Tibetan school, day school, Tila. Otherwise, all of us, we had that experience of being a small child. So those days, just see that within amongst your classmates, we see that some, they're very sensible, kind, compassionate, and some not so compassionate, extremely selfish. This is what it is. And the world is actually like the playground of the small children. And although sometimes we grew old with white hairs, old ladies, old men, but it doesn't mean that we are wise. I think it was, who was that? There was one scientist, a thinker, I would say better would be a thinker. There was a thinker who said that even the fools, they become old. Let's not forget it. Even the fools, they become old one day, they will also have white hairs. Which means that simply because somebody is old doesn't mean that they're wise. So the point is that this is where the whole world is like the playground for small children, where some are extremely sensible children and some are extremely selfish and vulgar in nature. So unfortunately today the world, while we look at the world, we see that the world is as though like there's no hope for the world. But keep in mind that the fact that we are together here, we are all the like-minded people. We are like-minded people. We all wish for happiness. We all appreciate happiness. We all appreciate the kindness and compassion of others. So having said this, the question is that for us to say stay demoralized in the world, this is not answer. So our job is to see how to make this world more peaceful. We can't expect 100% perfection. In the Buddhist scriptures, there's a mention of the golden era, the days of golden era. But whether or not it happens today, it doesn't matter. But we have to hope for a better world, a world which is more peaceful. And just imagine that continuously there's going to be children growing in the world, people coming to planet Earth. Today is 8 billion human beings. And continuously people come, go, come, go, come, go. Some go with so much regret that they have created so much pain on the world, and they leave. And pain in their family members also, not only the world. In the family, you create all these pains and then you leave. And some create pains on the community level, on the national level, and some on the global level, and then we die, we leave. And some good people, when they leave, it's very painful for the rest of the world. So this is what is happening. So having said this, why today, this day, the day His Holiness the Dalai Lama was awarded the Nobel Prize 36 years ago, why this is to be commemorated as something very important is for the reason that the world, if you want the world to be a better world, a world where there's greater peace, we can't expect 100% peace, but greater peace where there's greater majority happening, then we need to check. The Buddha indicated that all the problems that we go through, we can't imagine that we just pray and the problem is solved. Problems came from the respective causes. Respective causes. So the whole world is operating based on the cause and effect relationship. Albert Einstein, he talked about the whole universe being operated based on the cause and effect relationship of the physical law of cause and effect. And the Buddha added the mental element to that, and they created the concept of the universal law of cause and effect. It's not just confined to physical. Albert Einstein confined it to physical, saying that the universe is operating based on the physical law of cause and effect, and Buddha added another dimension to this, which is mind. And so therefore, today, we see that each one of us, if you're a little more thoughtful, we see that why the world is suffering is not because of the volcanoes, not because of the earthquake and so forth. Of course, these factors are there, but primarily it's a man-made problem. It's man-made. Man-made means not physical, not purely physical. There's a mental element there. So this is what the Buddha added. On top of the physical natural calamities, there's the man-made problems. So this the Buddha added as the second element of the mental. So this combined together is referred to as the law of karma. Physical law of cause and effect and the mental law of cause and effect combined together to be understood as the law of karma. So when true over the karma, it doesn't mean that, okay, now the karma is so bad that we are all suffering. No. Karma, by the very connotation, has the element of the intentionality. Intention. So therefore, today, the man-made problem, what do you mean by that? It's the intention involved of human beings that the problems are created, intentionality. So with this, now how to change this intentionality? For example, say, in the more developed countries, for example, more mature countries, I would say more, instead of developed, I would say more mature countries. For example, like since like 1,000 years ago, India is such an amazing nation. I would say in those days, kingdoms, but overall speaking, is an amazing subcontinent which has the incredible culture of the decency, of compassion, of ahimsa. That is amazing. Just imagine the whole world is pervaded by that element of compassion and ahimsa. All over the world today, as much as what it was like 1,000 years ago in India, the world is going to be very different today. It's going to be a very beautiful world. But unfortunately, why that is gone? So His Holiness the Dalai Lama, His Holiness identified during his public addresses, particularly I remember everywhere within India, outside India, in America, in Japan, or wherever, I remember His Holiness, at the end of the talks, experts would ask questions to His Holiness. Your Holiness, you always talk about compassion, but the reality is that the world is still going downturn. The world is still going downturn, where the modern education is considered to give rise to the happiness and peaceful world, but on the contrary, the world is going down the lane. Where are we going wrong? This was the question asked to His Holiness, and His Holiness, without second thought, would say that it is all because of the limitation of the modern education. Modern education, yes, you are right, it is supposed to bring about the greater world peace. But in actuality, given that this is an incomplete system, which is totally the remnants or the legacies of the 19th century, where, 19th century AD, where the Industrial Revolution decided which country, which nation is going to lead the world. So the Industrial Revolution, anybody who has more sophisticated guns, you will rule the world. So Britishers, it says that there's no sunset to the Britishers, the Great Britain. Why? The Great Britain expanded its empire too much to the extent that where there is a sunset happening on the other side of the empire of Great Britain, there's a sunrise happening. So there is no sunset for the Great Britain, which means that where there is a sophisticated guns, you lead the world. This was the 19th century. So the education today, what we have is the legacy of those. So therefore, that is purely designed for materialistic development and has nothing to do with the development of the heart. Now the world is suffering not because of the material, the shortage. It's all because of the shortage of the heart. So His Holiness says that modern education, while it has tremendous sophistication there, it needs to be complemented by the developed programs to encourage the development of the heart. So that is what is called as what is known as the universal ethics programs to encourage, to inculcate universal ethics grounded on compassion. So today it takes the form of what is known as C-learning, and universally it is being applied from grassroots level on these schools, colleges, universities, institutions, individuals and groups and so forth. That is being championed. His Holiness's vision put to the practical application by Emory University, USA, championed by Professor Tenzin Leman. And there is an incredibly great effort. I would say that perhaps the greatest of the effort in the world today for the well-being of the world is this program, C-Learning. So let's all pray that in our own capacity, what we're doing here, the panel discussion on universal ethics. So we have here Professor Renigwit Singh Ji as our chairperson, and who has been incredibly great, the instrument for disseminating these good qualities, compassion, so forth, by all these last more than 20 years of running of the forerunning the institution, Mahayana Meditation Center of Tushita, and how many people have been inspired by that. And also we have here with us Professor Kaviriji, Tenzin Leman, incredible great inspiration to so many people. So let us all look up to them and we'll learn from them. And we have Professor T.K. Mishraji, and who on his own effort, he approached Tibet House years ago, like 10 years ago, when he was still the professor there, before he became the president or the vice principal of the Ramanujan College. So he initiated, single-handedly, he initiated programs to encourage, to nurture these youngsters with the universal ethics of compassion. And he initiated many programs. He also started a center there, Center of Happiness there at the university. Such a great inspiration for all of us. And to his credit, there are books on universal ethics which he wrote. And also we have the Mr. Lokeshi, incredible great inspiration for all of us. So having said this, let us, in our own capacity, each one of us, let us not just wait for the change happening on the UNO level, on the government level and so forth. Yes, on these levels it's not that easy to bring about a change. It truly is, we can see the multifaceted dependent origination entity on these levels. But on the individual level, on the level of the NGOs or the institutional trust like Tibet House and so forth, and also here individually, each one of us, we, in our own effort, we can contribute to this, making His Holiness's dream of universal ethics happen, become a reality for the benefit of the whole world, for the individuals and for the whole world. So with this in mind, what I like to bring to your attention is that whatever we're going to discuss on universal ethics, I would make sure that each one of us see what I can do to influence others, or what I can do to at least make my family members happier family. And then from there, see how you can inspire others. There's a program known as Universal Ethics, program known as C-Learning, spearheaded by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and who's who's being awarded as a Nobel Peace Prize 1989. So this is being celebrated. So this is something which, this is a lesson for us to learn from, and for us to carry this torch, and to make sure that before we leave the world, each one of us, before we leave the world, we leave some imprints, not the carbon imprints, but positive imprints, imprints of compassion. Imprints of compassion in your family. First, see that you are happy, and see that your family members are happy because of you, and see that you can influence your cousins, you can influence the people who you feel close to on the higher levels of the hierarchy, of the educational hierarchy of the human community. So this is what we all should aim at. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Venerable Geshe Dorjindla, for your very inspiring and profound words into something which is the real need of today's global society, and also at the same time explaining about the very importance of sea learning, which is social, emotional, and ethical, which will definitely nurture the global community. Thank you, Venerable Geshe. Now, next we have a Nobel Peace Song in tribute to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama for being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in the year 1989 on December 10 in Oslo, Norway, by the students from TCV Day School, Sunnyling, New Delhi. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our students from TCV Day School, Majnu Katila, for their performance. Ladies and gentlemen, can I hear a huge round of applause to this young talents from TCV Day School, Majnu Katila, for their song performance.
Oh
Thank you. On behalf of all the attendees for this very celebration of the 36th anniversary of Nobel Peace Prize awarded to His Holiness, I would like to convey my heartiest thanks to all of them for the lovely performance and a lovely smile on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a huge round of applause. Now, we'll be moving on with the panel discussion on universal ethics, for which I would like to invite our eminent chairperson, Professor Renuka Singh Ji, the director of Tushita Mahayana Meditation Center, New Delhi, to kindly address the gathering.
Respected members on the dais and Venerable Geshe Doji Damdullah, Director of Tibet House. First of all, I'd like to thank you for organizing this event to celebrate not only the Year of Compassion, but also the 36th anniversary of His Holiness receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. Before I say anything, I would like to share with you my experience with His Holiness when I met him after he had received the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm a very old person, just to let you know, compared to the young kids who have just, had a wonderful, presentation, rendition of their dedication to His Holiness. What had actually happened was that in 1989, His Holiness got the award, and I met him the month after that. And I have never seen His Holiness. Yes, please. Thank you. I saw His Holiness. He was so happy after seeing him. We all were blissed out, and that was a great experience. But the other part, which is very important for me, was that my mother was taken ill and she came down with cancer, and she expressed the wish that she would like to meet His Holiness. So what I did, I took my whole family, my father and 2 sisters, to meet His Holiness. And my father, I come from a Sikh family. So my father wished His Holiness, and he said, "Your Holiness, the whole world is so happy that you've received the Nobel Peace Prize." And His Holiness laughed his heart out. He said, "Not the Chinese." So this is what happened after His Holiness received the Nobel Peace Prize with me and him. So we have 4 very special speakers today, but before that, maybe I would like to contribute a little bit in terms of, my ideas regarding the theme of universal ethics. The current landscape of modern, postmodern, and post-truth societies, even though celebratory in nature, points to the crises of heightened differentiation, division of labor, enemy, disorder, bureaucratization, rationalization, disenchantment, alienation, and class conflict. The discontents of our times reflect clearly that society is characterized by the onslaught of social media, culture, and AI, the colonization of our life world, and the microphysics of power. With its nuanced practice of discipline and surveillance, that has resulted in a hyper-real era of simulation. So, what is the ethical paradox of our times? We know that the certainty from our lives is over, as there is an assertion of diverse cultures and the overproduction of a media-induced consumption pattern that delegitimizes the aesthetic judgment of the classicists and modernists. Under these circumstances, postmodernists do talk about fragments, differences, and end of grand truths or narratives. Even though this liquid modernity creates the possibility of fluidity, hybridity, and perpetual flux, it also causes an ethical paradox, a sense of moral relativism, a state of being without solid, enduring relationships. Thus, it restores to agents the fullness of moral choice and responsibility, while simultaneously depriving them of the comfort of the universal guidance that modern self-confidence once promised. Ethical tasks of individuals grow while the socially produced resources to fulfill them shrink. Modern responsibility comes together with the loneliness of moral choice. Hence, individuals are thrown back on their own subjectivity as the ultimate ethical authority. It is in this context that His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives us a profound sense of humanism by introducing us to transformative values and a deep conviction in ethical beliefs and behavior. Opposing instrumental reasoning, dispassionate objectification, science dissociated from ethics, and the arrogance of certainty that seeks to eliminate all unlicensed differences. In his Nobel Peace Prize speech, His Holiness says, and I quote, "In today's highly interdependent world, individuals and nations can no longer resolve many of their problems by themselves. We need each other. Thus, we must develop a sense of universal ethics and responsibility. We all share this small planet Earth. We have to learn to live in harmony and peace with each other and nature. It is not just a dream, but a necessity. The realization that we are basically the same human beings who seek happiness and try to avoid suffering helps develop a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood, a warm feeling of love and compassion for others. Thus, war or peace, the destruction or the protection of nature, the violation or promotion of human rights and democratic freedoms, poverty or material well-being, the lack of moral and spiritual values, or their existence and development, and the breakdown or development of human understanding are not isolated phenomena that can be analyzed and tackled independently of one another. Thus, material development without spiritual development can cause serious problems." And he further adds that it is my dream that the entire Tibetan plateau should become a free refuge where humanity and nature can live in peace and in harmonious balance. It would be a place where people from all over the world could come to seek the true meaning of peace within themselves, away from the tensions and pressures of much of the rest of the world. So in the end, I would like to say that, and I hope that the objectives of enlightenment, hygiene of emotions, and universal ethics won't just endlessly be discoursed upon or gather dust in some corner of your mind, but instead be realized as well. Thank you. Now may I invite Professor T.K. Mishra, the former Vice Principal, Ramanujan College, University of Delhi, to deliver his lecture on universal ethics, the pathway to global unity, and one world, one family. In brief, to introduce Professor Mishra. Professor Mishra is a distinguished academic and thought leader who has dedicated 4 decades to shaping minds at the University of Delhi. After retiring as Professor of Commerce and Vice Principal at Ramanujan College in June 2022, Professor Mishra's remarkable journey continues to inspire India's pursuit of ethical excellence. I think rest of the thing you can read in the booklet. May I now request Professor Mishra to come and deliver his address. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, learned panelists, dear friends, sisters and brothers, we gather here today at a defining moment in our history. Humanity, with all its progress, stands at a crossroads. One path divides us ever further by culture, by belief, by interest. And another path invites us to realize the timeless truth that this world can become one family. Now, the key to this vision is universal ethics. Universal ethics is beautifully defined in the Bhagavad Gita as Dharma. And universal ethics, such ethics are honesty, non-violence, justice, and compassion, empathy. Such values are not empty ideals or utopian goals. They are the living principles by which peace is restored, by which societies flourish, and by which we come to see ourselves not as strangers, but as kin. When we put these values into action, when justice is the inner compass, moral compass, ethics is vigorously practiced, and when truthfulness shapes our words, universal ethics comes alive. They become our everyday language. They become assurance that in every corner of our globe, dignity of each matters. They become our shared reference points. Imagine a world where help for the stranger is a reflex. Kindness is a norm, and everyone belongs. This is not a fiction or fantasy. This is a promise of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world as one family. This is often reflected in our Prime Minister's speeches. And we all know that Prime Minister Modi, whatever he thinks, he speaks, and whatever he speaks, he does, just like Mahatma Gandhi was known for. In such a world, with promise of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, difference doesn't divide, it enriches. Our diverse backgrounds and beliefs bring new wisdom. Each tradition offers new ways to grow. Through universal ethics, we learn how to live together peacefully and joyfully. Now, how do we build such a world? Next point, very important. Well, we begin by expanding our circle of care, extending beyond family or nation to include the entire earth. When universal values guide our choices, we engage in dialogue rather than domination. We forgive rather than retaliate. And we aim for win-win solutions even in the most serious conflicts. Global issues like climate change, poverty, migration can only be addressed jointly through shared responsibility and mutual aid, not zero-sum competition. Authentic leadership in this new era will be defined not by power, but by ethical action. Leaders who ground their decisions in universal ethics uphold the dignity of all people, earning trust and sustaining lasting cohesion and resilience. His Holiness Dalai Lama offers us both inspiration and practical guidance. No global spiritual leader has championed ever universal ethics as powerfully as the Dalai Lama. For decades, he has taught us that universal responsibility is the real key to human survival and world peace. Our interests, he says, are fundamentally interconnected. When others are in trouble, you cannot escape. This is the reality. He reminds us, quote, "We are all part of one great human family, rich or poor, of any faith or nation. We all seek happiness and wish to avoid suffering," unquote. He warns us not to mistake attachment or conditional love for genuine compassion. Universal ethics calls us to altruistic love, even toward the so-called enemy. True, lasting peace, he teaches, begins within. Only inner transformation, inner disarmament makes global harmony possible. To him, dialogue is the only path. Honor differences, seek understanding, and transform every conflict into an opportunity for connection. Geshe-la Dorji Damdul. as the Dalai Lama's devoted follower and close collaborator, makes the Dalai Lama's teaching accessible. His quote, "If we want world peace, we must first experience inner peace." He reminds us that love grows from recognizing our interdependence. You know, why I give due importance to being an ardent follower? Very important. Because even Arjuna, the great warrior, could not have won the war of Mahabharata had he not been an ardent follower of Lord Krishna. Now, he often reminds us, Dorji Damdal, that love grows from recognizing our interdependence. Damdal works tirelessly to bring the wisdom of the Dalai Lama and Buddhist ethics to everyone, schools, universities, and global forums. A round of applause for him. He demonstrates how science and ancient wisdom meet in the call for compassion, and how ethical education must train both our hearts and our minds. Now, how do we create a universal ethics culture in a systematic manner? I would like to focus on that. I propose a threefold roadmap inspired by recent thought leaders, including Dorji Damdal. First, identify truly universal values, teach and celebrate empathy, justice, non-violence, respect, responsibility, gratitude, and courage. They are found in every culture and are the bedrock of our shared humanity. These are signs that universal ethics are not a distant ideal, but an emerging reality. So, let us, this was the first one, and then second is ground ethics in human psychology. Understand that our capacity for ethical values and compassion is not just taught, but cultivated through practice, through self-awareness, through expanding our sense of us. Third, integrate ethics in education from the earliest years onward. Let stories of kindness fill childhood. Teach critical thinking and emotional intelligence. Make ethical reasoning applied ethics and global citizenship part of every curriculum everywhere. Train teachers to embody and inspire these values. This is very important. You know, unless teachers are fully convinced that it pays to be honest and they pay due regard to universal ethics, you know, there is somewhat deficiency in the delivery. We have to see that the delivery is sound. You know, if the teachers themselves are not convinced with this idea, they say that, you know, in practical world it doesn't have much significance and things like that. I mean, how can they convince students? Now, creating this culture will not be easy. It requires commitment at every level: individuals, families, schools, organizations, governments, and the global stage. But I say to you, it is possible. It has begun. It is not a list of things to worry about. It is a civilizational wake-up call. Look at initiatives around the world. Schools adopting values education, global interfaith and intercultural dialogues, and public figures choosing the ethical path over the expedient one. These are signs that universal ethics are not a distant deal, but an emerging reality. So let us make this our shared mission to create an earth where everyone is valued, respected, and connected, where peace is not just an absence of conflict, but a vibrant presence of compassion and justice, where we cherish, never fear our diversity, and use it to build more prosperous, more resilient communities. Let us commit today in our homes, our classrooms, our places of worship, our workplaces, to putting universal ethics into practice. Let us build together a world where one family is not just a dream, but a living truth. Thank you. May compassion and universal values guide us always. May Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam become our collective reality. Thank you.
Excuse me, Professor Renuka Singh ji. Before I request you to kindly introduce the next panelist we have, I would request that we need to keep, because of the shortage of time, we need to keep the panel discussion from each panelist for 15 minutes. Right. Thank you.
So it's for you guys. So thank you very much, Professor Mishra ji. You have very, very succinctly emphasized the need for practice and the values of Dharma that we need to bring, integrate in our own lives. Thank you very much. May I now invite Professor Kaveri Gill, who is the non-resident senior fellow, Center for Excellence in Himalayan Studies, Shiv Nadar University, Delhi. Professor Gill is going to speak on the importance of the practice of ethics in everyday life, arriving at a universal understanding. And ma'am, your bio, I think they can...
Yes, they know.
Everybody knows you.
They can read.
But if you want, I can...
No.
Since there's shortage of time.
No, thank you.
So please, thank you.
Tashi Dele, and good afternoon. Respected Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdola, Director, Tibet House, respected Geshe-la, all our distinguished panelists and audience, welcome to this wonderful afternoon celebrating 36 years of His Holiness winning the Nobel Peace Prize. So here is, I put together 3 times covers. This is His Holiness when he came into exile. 2008, when there was a lot of unrest, His Holiness also made the time cover. And now he made the time cover, and it was called The Survivor. And it said, so here we have an example of resilience. We are celebrating the year of compassion. His Holiness' 90th birthday. And maybe he's on his way to Delhi, on his way to Mungod. So I really pray today that we always have such beings, sons of the world, who are showing us what it really means to hold to ethics under the most difficult circumstances. So I will, for auspiciousness, quote from Acharya Chandrakriti, a great Nalanda master, who says that compassion alone is seen as the seed of a victor's rich harvest, as water that nourishes it, and as the ripened fruit that is the source of long enjoyment. Therefore, at the start, I praise compassion. It is said that if you have one quality in your hand, you have all qualities, and this is the quality, a universal ethic amongst universal ethics. So, Professor Renuka ji spoke about, she quoted His Holiness talking about what is the ultimate source of our contemporary problems, and really it is a lack of ethics. And His Holiness talks about it as a lack of self-discipline, for self-discipline is entirely based on ethics. And he says we have the responsibility to bring awareness to the fact that the many problems we are facing ultimately result from the lack of inner discipline of moral ethics. So Venerable Geshe spoke about cause and effect. He spoke about causality in terms of physical law of karma and also intentionality. So and he also spoke about each of us taking personal responsibility, that we need to stop moaning and groaning about the state of the world and start with where it begins, which is ourselves. As Professor Mishra ji put so nicely, there are two pillars for universal ethics that His Holiness speaks about, and indeed all the previous panelists spoke about it. This is an inclusive approach which basically does not require belief in any religious systems or any other kinds of belief. It just requires two very basic principles, and that is a recognition of our common humanity with the shared aspiration to seek happiness and to avoid suffering, including the animal realm and anywhere that, beings have a mind. The second is understanding our interdependence as a key feature, and we really do not need reminders today. We are just 3-4 years on from COVID. At that time, we saw our interdependence in terms of a public health disaster. We know our interdependence in terms of technology. We know our interdependence in terms of economy. We frankly know our independence in terms of every single thing in the 21st century, so we do not need to be convinced about this. And if we are able to accept these two principles, we have a secular and universal ground to accept ethics. Why is this important? Because as Professor Mishra also said, if one gains a stable and reason-based deep conviction, then one will choose to behave ethically oneself, not due to external regulation or fear of censure due to any knowledge systems. So there is a debate, what is human nature? At the one end, the one spectrum says we are extremely selfish. There are a lot of people who have written about this. Of course, most famously Darwin, at least it's attributed to him, although he was speaking about evolutionary biology and not society and polity. But there are people like Richard Dawkins and so many others. And in this view, which is very much pushed by economics and other disciplines, individualism, competitive, selfish natures is what they posit for humans in the abstract, and this is what we are bound by. If this is the case, then ethics have to be grounded in something outside ourselves, such as religious opprobrium, like we feel scared after we go after death, what is going to happen to us, we will meet our judgment day or something like that, in order to keep these destructive tendencies in check. But the other side, and this is a side that is increasingly proving itself, human nature is basically very compassionate and altruistic. This is a view that is being backed in the frontiers of economics, evolutionary biology, where it is coming to be seen that the most important trait we will ever have for our own survival might be cooperation and not competition. And the Dalai Lama, of course, is somebody who endorses infinite human potential for goodness and warm-heartedness. And if this is the case, then ethics is seen as an internal self-regulation and a rational means to perfect our innate potential. We don't need an external stick and disciplinary mechanism because we have this infinite potential. So the most widely accepted position today would be from various disciplinary perspectives that we have some of both, a selfish side and an altruistic side. But I want to say, and I'm quoting here Rebecca Solnit, who has studied disasters, and she's written a beautiful book where she says in disaster situations, life and death, most people are altruistic, urgently engaging in caring for themselves and those around them. The image of the selfish, panicky, or aggressively savage human being in times of disaster has little truth to it. Decades of meticulous sociological research on behavior in disasters shows this. And then she very beautifully quotes, the Cain and Abel fable, where God asks Cain where his brother is, and Cain asks back, am I my brother's keeper? He's also raising one of the perennial social questions. Are we beholden to each other? Must we take care of each other? Or is it every man for himself? The argument against such keeping of one's brothers and sisters is often framed as an argument about human nature, that we are essentially selfish, and because you will not care for me, I will not care for you. And she goes on to say that this belief is actually something that is just being pushed down on us by, for example, ideological systems of neoclassical economics and other kinds of disciplines. And it's actually benefiting in a capitalist way, as Professor Renuka spoke about. It is benefiting some people to push this belief on us. But the fact is that if you actually see human behavior in these kinds of situations, what actually we are prone to is to behave in a compassionate, helping manner. And she talks about, how, because in such moments of disaster, like the media narrative, this individualism, capitalism, social Darwinism that is pushed on us, inculcated through modern education and through certain disciplines and our own belief systems, all that falls away and we basically behave as we are meant to, which is very, very powerfully to help others. Now, human happiness is complicated. There are two levels. No doubt there is a short-term sensory level. I was just in Singapore for some reason and I also got a Labubu doll. It was gifted to me, so the younger children will know what is Labubu and then we know what is iPhone 17 and all this. All this is sensory pleasures. No doubt they give us some sort of happiness. But the deeper mental level of happiness is related to not external stimuli but mental level, and that requires certain things. It is linked to our longer term happiness. It is less dependent on good external circumstances. And here we require a sense of purpose, a sense of being connected to each other. And in those particular factors, compassion is critical as a universal ethic. So, how is one's own happiness linked to the practice of compassion and ethics? Anyone who has ever attended Venerable Geshe-la's class, and the most of us, you'd be hard-pressed not to have attended, fortunately, may that always be the case. So, be kind to yourself, being wisely kind to yourself. There is nothing wrong with being kind to yourself in pursuing pleasure as a resultant state. So, you create the causes, earn a good income, have good friends, wear good clothes, go shopping, do whatever. Eat some cheesecake. But if that is the sum total of your life and quest for happiness, it is going to fall far short, because being wisely kind to yourself is to create the causes for future happiness and satisfaction. As the Buddha said, Om ye dharma hetu prabha hetam tesham tatagato hayavat tesham chayo nirodha evam badi mahashramana ye swaha. The Buddha taught the causes of suffering and happiness. He taught the cessation of what is our causes for suffering. So the tool is in our hands, what we choose to do with it. And in this, recognizing our interdependency and our inevitable connection to others and how our happiness is linked to their happiness, this is so important. Why? Because also His Holiness's genius in talking about universal ethics is to link it to our happiness. We are not saving the world, ladies and gentlemen. We are first saving ourselves. So here the question becomes, what do you want? If you want happiness, practice compassion. If you want happiness for yourself, practice compassion. If you want happiness for others, practice compassion. And this is why it is the radicalism of our time. Of course, at very advanced stages, you come to see that others' beings' happiness is actually your own well-being. Now, as Professor Mishra said, and the discussion here, ethics is not simply a matter of knowing. As His Holiness says in Beyond Religion, it is about doing. So it is not an intellectual game where we can theorize the whole day about what is living ethically. It is actually that you have to eat it and live it actually. So in this context, the actual application has three levels, which are taken from the great treatises, traditional treatises. The ethic of restraint, deliberately refraining from doing actual or potential harm to others. The ethic of virtue, actively cultivating and enhancing our positive qualities, behaviors, inner values. And finally, the ethic of benefiting others, actually dedicating our lives to genuinely work for the welfare of others. Each level is progressively more advanced and each is dependent on success in a formal level. To be effective, of course, these three aspects have to be applied to all our behavior, which means bodily actions, speech, and mind. And of these, of course, as Venerable Geshe-la said in the opening, mental is the most important, intention is the most important, because that is the source of driving everything else. So now we need three basic mental factors in our toolkit to practice ethics in a daily, everyday life. Heedfulness and conscientious, which in Tibetan is bhakyo, which is complete presence of mind and total attentiveness, a sense of being careful. The second is mindfulness, denpa, recollection or the ability to gather oneself mentally and recall one's core values and motivation. And the third is introspective awareness, Shishin, honestly observing our behavior as it is going on, having the ability to monitor oneself with a second order level of attention. So listening to your conscious is not in a religious sense here. It is basically thinking of conscious as a basic biological mammals, all of us have it, and two mental qualities of self-respect and consideration of others. Ethic of restraint. His Holiness really appreciates Jainism for practicing this. Christianity, he says a golden rule found in all the world's traditions, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. He cites 6 principles of Arya Nagarjuna, which is like 1st, 2nd century, the great teacher, his advice to a king. Avoid excessive use of intoxicants, uphold the principle of right livelihood, ensure that one's body, speech and mind are non-violent, treat others with respect, honor the worthy, be kind to others. This does not require religious belief. The ethics of restraint, we are familiar with these 10, and if one wants to go into more, the 14th century great scholar Lama Tsongkhapa in this beautiful world classic volume 1 actually has these details. The second is the ethic of virtue. Once you have managed to control your negativities, try to start, actively gathering virtue. Again, actions. We'll hear from our next speaker, Jas Kalra, who's doing amazing work. So charity, helping others, the sick. Speech, praise others, listen to their problems, give advice and encouragement. Mentally, just it's free. Rejoice in others' good deeds, values, qualities. The ethic of working for others' welfare. Then if you're really got to this stage, now you can even dedicate your life. And I'm just showing you a thing, there's a great lineage here, of 2 kind of teachings on how to develop such a being, which have come right down to us as a living tradition via Lama Jovoje Paldenatisha, great practitioner. So I'm showing you this because in the 11th century, he's going all the way, this Google map, without indigo flight. He's going all the way to get, 12-year teachings on love and compassion. Then he's coming back, and then he's going off to Tibet when he's 60 plus. And then he passes away there. This is to benefit beings. And as Professor Mishra said about our teacher, Venerable Geshe-la, there are practitioners of this today. Geshe-la here sitting in the audience. I have heard so many things for decades about his practice. And of course, we have amongst us the Nobel Peace Prize holder, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. I pray that the world always has such beings. This is a bibliography. May all beings be benefited. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Gill. I agree entirely with you when you say that Venerable Geshe-la has contributed immensely in Delhi to the spread of Dharma and compassion. Geshe-la, we are very grateful to you for your contribution. And Geshe-la has always encouraged all the Tushitaites, I will say, so that we can carry on with our work. And Professor Gill, I am very glad that you've highlighted so many important facets of practicing ethics in everyday life in terms of, the lack of ethics and the lack of inner discipline, having an inclusive approach, especially in terms of interdependence and how competition, how cooperation is in fact more important than competition, sorry. And most of all, I think the dynamics of altruism that you've highlighted. Thank you very much for that. And recommending wise selfishness, as His Holiness puts it. Yeah. So may I now request Professor Mr. Jas Kalra, who is the President of the Earth Saviors Foundation, Delhi, to make his presentation on the growing need for humanitarian service. Mr. Jas Kalra is a young and deeply committed social change maker based in Gurugram, India. He serves as the president of the Earth Saviors Foundation, TESF, a non-profit organization founded by his father. Under his leadership, TESF continues its mission of rescuing and rehabilitating society's most vulnerable individuals, including abandoned elders, persons with disabilities, the homeless, and the destitute. He is currently working towards building what is envisioned to be one of the world's largest and most compassionate shelter homes, rooted in the principles of dignity, service, and universal responsibility. May I now request Mr. Kalra to make his presentation? 15 minutes, please.
Hello everyone. Firstly, I would like to start off by thanking the team of Tibet House for organizing such a wonderful event, and I would like to thank Professor Renuka ma'am for inviting me here, as well as all the esteemed panelists and the esteemed guests. My name is Jas Kalra, and I'm the president of an organization called the Earth Saviors Foundation. So as we gather here today to celebrate the teachings of His Holiness, I'd like to share a little bit about the work that I do every day and a few things that I've learned from that work. So the organization that I run is called the Earth Saviors Foundation. And at this point of time, we are running 2 rescue centers. These rescue centers are for abandoned senior citizens, mentally disabled people, deprived females, and those that are suffering from incurable diseases. As I said, most of the people that are living with me in those rescue centers are abandoned senior citizens. So these are all parents that have been kicked out of their own homes by their own children. Sadly, in today's time, when parents become old, they cannot talk the same or walk the same. It doesn't matter, it's not related. Sorry. So when parents become old and they start to suffer from a disease, or they become paralyzed, or they become mentally disabled, unfortunately in today's time, children don't want to take care of their own parents. So in most cases, the children leave their own parents on the roads, or they admit them in hospitals and they run away in the middle of treatment. So all of these people have to live on the streets for 8, 9 years at a time. Then they are brought to my center by the police, they are referred to me by the hospitals, sent by the courts, by the social welfare departments, even the Human Rights Commission. And then we admit them on a 24/7 basis and serve them free of cost. And you would be pleased to know that at this point of time, we are taking care of 1,500 such people permanently. Thank you. But sadly, most of these people, by the time they are brought to us, because they have been living on the roads for so long without any family member to take care of them, by the time they are brought to me, most of them don't have arms or legs. Some of them have massive wounds on their bodies and they have maggots crawling inside. Some of them they have not bathed in more than 2 years. In fact, many of these people are brought to me by the authorities, but you will be shocked to know that I receive more admissions in the middle of the night where children come to my gates and they tie their own parents and they run away. They come in the middle of the night, they take their parents out of the car, they tie their hands with a rope and they tie the same rope to the iron of my gates. And they run away. In the morning, when I get out of the gates at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, I find old people sitting like this. They do not know where they are. In fact, some of them are wearing diapers that have not been changed for 8 or 9 months. Their private parts are totally swollen, they have maggots crawling inside. Some of them even have their urine pipes attached and there's an infection. And when I bring them inside, I change their diapers, we bathe them, we take out their maggots, we feed them, we give them medicines, and we send them to the hospital. Then I check the cameras as well, and you will be shocked to know that I find that the children that came in the middle of the night came in a BMW or a Mercedes. Again, I'm very sorry if my intention is not to scare anyone or, share things that you might not want to hear. But all I'm trying to convey is that the problem of abandonment in our society is only growing. It's very stark. In fact, most of these people, when they are brought to our center and we start to serve them, we give them 3 meals a day, we provide them with medicines, we counsel them, we take them to the hospitals for their treatments, we provide them with accommodations and facilities. And when they start to slowly recover, they tell us who they are and where they are from. And then we find that some of them have graduated from Harvard, some of them have been Supreme Court judges, some of them are chartered accountants, lawyers, some of them have worked in the foreign services, in embassies, as diplomats. So they all belong to very good backgrounds. But the teaching to take is that in society, it is never promised that we cannot end up in the situation that they ended up in. We also try to pursue the same things in our life as they did. They also earned the same houses that we want to earn. They also drove the same cars that we want to drive. They also made the same amount of money that we all want to make. And yet they ended up in this situation. And what I am trying to say here is that this is the most harshest truth in today's society. That there is no one even in this auditorium that can promise you or me that we won't end up in the situation that they ended up in. Yet we think that these things happen to others, they won't happen to us. And I think the only way to actually make a difference and ensure that we do not end up in the same situation that they ended up in, where all that went wrong for them was one tiny little thing, that when they needed their family refused to help. That is the only difference. Despite all they had earned, all they had achieved, at the end of the day, they were also dependent on the exact thing that we take for granted on most days, humanity. We live in the most populated country in the world, and there are so many humans around us, yet we forget how to be humane. There are so many people here, so many people in our country, and yet there is such little humanity to inspire us. From this service, one of the first things I learned was the difference between sympathy and empathy. I learned that sympathy is when you see a person on the side of the roads who is starving, who is in need, and you look at him, you feel sorry for him, and you walk away. Empathy is when you see a person starving on the side of the roads who is in need, you go to him, you sit down, you put your hand on his shoulder, you look him in the eye, and you accept that all that separates you both is luck. That is what I have learned. In fact, I also want to take this moment to invite any of you that would want to come to our center to see the service firsthand, and then perhaps you can also guide us. Tell us how we can improve this service, make it better, connect more good people, reach out to more people, because we are now serving 1,500 people, and you will be surprised to know that we do not take any funds from the government. We have not taken a single penny from any foreign entities, no grants, no schemes, and we have not done any political or religious tie-ups. We are only dependent on the kind-hearted nature of individuals in our society. That is it. And one last thing I would like to share. In fact, just this morning I I intended to reach here on time, but sadly unfortunately I had a very busy morning. But I will share the case with you as it's still ringing in my mind. There was a lady that I rescued about 2 weeks ago from Noida, which is also part of Delhi NCR. And when I rescued her, she was 70 years old and she was mentally disabled. So her son had tied her a dog collar to her neck and locked her in a room for 4 months. So we rescued her and brought her to our center. In fact, this morning she passed away. And you will be surprised to know that in the morning, when I called her son, as I call most people's children when they pass away in my shelter home, I said that, of course I spoke in Hindi, but I will translate it for you. I said that, your mother has passed away. Would you like to cremate her or shall I? He said, I don't have time to do it, you do it. I said, okay, no problem. I keep going to the crematoriums, I will cremate her. But at least you can take the ashes and immerse them in the holy river Ganga yourself. And he said to me, throw the ashes in the gutter, don't call me again. So that is just an instance of this morning. In today's time, doing good work in society has become 10 times more difficult than doing something wrong. If I do something wrong tomorrow, I am totally convinced that 10 of my friends will come to me and say that, Jas, what help do you need? We are here for you. We will help you. But when you are doing something good, it is always going to be 10 times more difficult, and only God-sent handful people will actually support you. But that is not to demotivate you. It is for you to keep on moving. That despite all the problems in our society, that we continue to inspire each other and we serve. We serve society, we serve humanity. And not just by perhaps opening a center. You can even serve the people on the roads. You can serve animals. You can feed dogs on the roadsides. Or you can serve the cows that are living near garbage yards. Or you can plant trees. Or you can go and serve in a gurdwara or a temple or a mosque, any place that you feel connected to. Or in fact, perhaps everyone can also spread a little awareness so that people start serving their own parents, and then even I will shut down my old age home. So thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kalra, for your very moving presentation and for all the work that you're doing. This actually is compassion in action when you take care of, these 1,500 people who are neglected, disabled, or abandoned. And when you highlight the human cruelty, this really bothers me. Because, ours is a developing society still, and it's happening here. With me today, what happened, I want to share with you. My cousin, who is a very eminent artist and poet in Switzerland, in Bern, he contributed to the Swiss Society for 45 years. And he died, he was found dead for 10 days in his own apartment. Neighbors, nobody, look at the alienation of that society. Nobody was there to even detect that this person is missing for 10 days. And today he is being cremated there. The Swiss government has not allowed anyone to attend his cremation because of contamination. Just look at the alienation of our rich societies as well. Thank you. Thank you very much for highlighting also the difference between sympathy and empathy. Please carry on with your inspiring work.
So nice, thank you.
Yeah. And now I would like to invite our last panelist, Mr. Lokesh Jindal, who is an engineer, student of Nalanda Buddhist Philosophy, NMC, Tibet House, New Delhi. He is going to make a presentation on a comparative perspective on the universality of ethics in Western and Eastern philosophy. Mr. Lokesh Jindal is a student of philosophy and has been studying Buddhist philosophy since the past 10 years or so. He completed his MA in philosophy from the University of Delhi. He has studied Buddhist philosophy primarily through various programs taught at Tibet House, including Nalanda Master's Course. I think, Lokesh, you're very fortunate that you have Geshe-la as your teacher.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's something I never give. I don't want to receive anything other than that. It's just complete in itself.
Yeah. So please, I think the rest of the stuff you can read yourself. We have to save time as well.
There's nothing there to say anyway. I'm just a fellow human being trying to have a dialogue with my friends here. Venerable Geshe-la, our esteemed panel, all the friends, sisters, brothers here. It's an honor to be here, not just because that it's the 36th anniversary of His Holiness's award of the Nobel Peace Prize, but because all of us are gathered here today to discuss about how to be more ethical, what does it entail to be acting in a moral and ethical way, and which is basically actually the real supplication that we can do to all our masters and to His Holiness and to the gods. I wanted to start this talk with a funny kind of a story, but Mr. Kalra's presentation has had my voice shaking, and I don't know how much justice I can do with it, but let me give it a try. Most of the probably Tibetans are aware of it. I learned it when I was trying to learn Tibetan language, and my teacher from RYI in Kathmandu University, that was part of the curriculum. It's a story about a poor man who was looking to earn some living. His name, roughly translated, is like the man who was bearing a staff, or a dandadhari kind of a name. So he goes to a landlord and borrows his cattle, maybe a cow or an ox, so that he can use that animal to earn one day's living and then return it back. So he does that and then goes back to the landlord to return that cattle. And so landlord asked him to just tie it to a pillar, the rope. But as he was trying to tie, the animal ran away, right, to the jungle, and he couldn't retrieve it. So the landlord was very angry, and he took this dandadhari to the king for, asking for compensation. So the king said he heard all the matter, the talk on both sides. And this leads to the moral and the justice, that thing that we're talking about, right? He said, okay, to the dandadhari, your hand should be cut. And it was kind of a cruel, by current standards, it would look like a very cruel judgment. But more surprising is the next. And to the landlord, your eye should be removed. And it was very, very surprising for me to learn that story, right? And then the landlord's behavior is much more interesting. He says then, if just for a cattle I have to lose an eye, I would rather withdraw my case. So the case was dropped against Dandadhari, and both of them went back home. And there is other parts of the story, but I think this is a small part that I wanted to share, that justice or compassion can express itself in many, many forms and ways, and that some of these are not very clear to us in a much more karmic way maybe, or much more in our societal norms as times change. We tend to have different perspectives about what some values mean, right? And this talk today, it's probably also can be seen as why I'm an optimist, actually. I am going through an arc of how Western philosophy has evolved, just small snippets of it, and see how it is coming to something which is much more in line with how His Holiness is trying to encourage universal ethics. So I take West to be, including the Greeks, in terms of having a much more stronger notion of justice or fairness, right? It's not as if they don't have the concept of care or compassion, but the main emphasis could probably be summed up in a very generic way as a fair or a just creation of a just and fair ethical framework or a society. Whereas on the Eastern side or Indian side, there's much more emphasis on care perspective. Again, it's not as if we don't care about justice, right? It's much more, the focus is on compassion or a societal care, the relations between them like that. So this is just a kind of disclaimer that it's not as if that both of the societies lack in some of the qualities, just that a matter of emphasis where they are. But I'll trace through an arc of how I interpret the Western ethics evolution and see whether there is some lessons that we can learn from there, yeah? So like I said, just and fair is the Western notions, then we'll talk about compassion and care, and then we'll come back to His Holiness's universal ethics, which many of the esteemed speakers have already spoken about, so I'll spend just a little time on that, yeah? So the Greek and Western perspective is basically over, I guess, starting from Greek's time, so Plato to even to medieval philosophers. So there have been 4 cardinal virtues, and which are practiced because they bring eudaimonia, which is basically a good living, right? Of these 4, as far as I can understand, and many people would probably agree, that justice is supposed to be the more key, because other than that, there's prudence, which is basically to discern the right action. But what right is again goes back to what they conceive of as justice or fairness. Similarly, fortitude is the courage to uphold what is right, right? And that again is what is right, that the question goes back again to justice. Although many people talk about it in different terms, this is how me, if I read through it and interpret it in my own words, I would come up with, right? So, so this is the emphasis, right? What is right is what is just, basically. So if I again look back into His Holiness thing, if you can't do good, at least don't do harm. So it's the don't do harm part of it, right? Fairness is basically, let's not be bad to each other, right? That kind of thing, right? Even in modern times, like the political philosophers like John Rawls would say that justice is the first virtue of social institutions. So it's not just that the day-to-day life, but our legal systems, the way society is structured, everything just boils down to, first we have to be just, right? Then there was an evolution in Kant's time where he came up with he wanted to know much more about what is the basis of we being moral. Why is it bad to be bad, right? In that sense, so there is a categorical imperative kind of a philosophy that he came up with, which is a kind of complex mixture of a notion of a free will and rational agency. But all of it basically is basically requiring moral requirements to be a strong aspect of being rational. If you're rational, you're kind of a priori moral, kind of a framework that he's built. But on a more common sense level, he would say that the goodwill is something that is the most basic of the ethics that we could practice, right? So in this, we're seeing that earlier Greek kind of a thing, which was mainly social or external form of formulation, we're coming at least to a more individual based thing, where there is a goodwill that is a quality of an individual, which is supposed to be a kind of the more defining principle of ethics here. So a move from a collective to an individual's inner qualities, or external to the internal, that kind of thing that we can observe. Next, which is a very heartening development, this is one of the reasons why I feel optimistic, at least in the Western perspective of things, is that modern feminist, a part of modern feminist contribution to, I think, ethics, and a large part, in my opinion, is the care ethics, right? These are basically, we're saying that caring for is a direct relational engagement, right? And this is an impersonal, we don't need to rely on impersonal principles or some imperatives or rules of law to be moral. So moral is much more like we are caring for others, and that's the basis of morality kind of thing, right? And so we move away from very abstract, philosophical, metaphysical kind of speculations and come more to the real world experienced life, and we say, how do we practice about it, right? So this is a move from a rational to a kind of more positive emotions. Earlier we would say we have duty so that we can, so some of the desires or negative emotions, we can control them through our sense of duty, right? So it's control of negative emotions. But how do we use our positive emotions to define ethics in a better way, right? So this K ethics is basically relying on our compassion or our basic human good nature to make a sense of what ethical framework should be. And so this is a very heartening development, recent development. And I move on to more Indian perspective. Of course, many of us would be familiar with that our social structure was a Varna system, which is a professions-based. There are 4 professions, and people are not born into those, but recent interpretation of them, I think it kind of degenerated into saying that people are born into castes or those professions, right? And then the ashram system for the personal development through the ages, right? And the juxtaposition of these two is basically what the underlying behavioral ethics that we were practicing through Vedic times to at least till probably 900, 9th or 10th century, right? Then the karma, of course, is the underlying thing of all the Indian systems, and even in we basically, it's in that sense it's a more like how do you say, teleological, basically, in the sense that we don't practice ethics just for the sake of practicing ethics. We practice it for certain results, some positive outcomes, right? So in that sense, it's result oriented. And that's how it comes back to, so what actions are ethical is basically which actions lead to positive outcomes for us or for others, right? So, and there are, in Indian traditions, there has been a lot of focus on these things, even in, of course, in Bodhisattva's practices, the 6th perfection, the 2nd perfection just talks so much in detail about it, right? And then there are, of course, a higher level, like Kaveri Ji also mentioned, Venerable Kaveri Ji mentioned there are different levels, right? One is the kind of we abstain from doing bad, then we kind of go to 2nd level, the 3rd level. And then on a higher level is the Brahma Viharas or the 4 immeasurables, which are also, of course, mainly practiced by Mahayana practices, but these are also, you would find them in different forms in probably in Jainism or in other traditions too, right? So that's a kind of Indian perspective. But there is a purpose. We don't do ethics just for the sake of ethics. There's a purpose which is much, sometimes it is a liberation, of course, that's the highest goal, but there's also living peacefully with others, having harmonious relations, all of which are conducive to a larger long-term growth of individuals and societies, like that. Last, I would speak a little bit about universal ethics, and of course, people have already spoken who are much more informed and educated than me on this. So I'll just a small interpretation that I kind of, when I think about what I think about, right? So, of course, compassion is a basic human characteristic. In philosophical terms, it takes away all the metaphysical assumptions that we have seen so far, that maybe soul is this kind, or maybe justice is the right way of doing it. All that thing has been boiled down to one thing, that there is a basic human characteristic that we all experience. And His Holiness has been in talks with the various scientists to be able to even see how scientifically we can think about it, right? So that as a basis means that we are not engaging in speculations, philosophical speculation, religious speculations about why we should be ethical. We are ethical because it's built into us. Although might not be expressed very well, like Mr. Collar spoke, that many of these are, with all that cruelty toward parents, who would think that we have a basic compassionate nature, right? It's very, very hard to digest. So there are deeply unexpressed things like that in our behavior, right? And that's why the cultivation method is important. But compassion as a basic human capacity is a very strong notion on which a whole system of ethics can be built. Then second building block, of course, is the interdependence, which is also an observed reality. We are not going into any abstract thought to observe it. We know it, right? I have never cooked my food, actually. Maybe 2-3 years I did, but I mean, that was not worth eating anyway. So that's it, right? And so for my food, which is the most important thing, I'm dependent on others, right? So that kind of dependence is so obvious in our face that it's laughable that we kind of debate about it. It's just there, right? It's just there to see. So that interdependence is the basis, and our basic compassion nature, then it's easy to achieve the goals if you follow the His Holiness's proposed path, right? That the happiness for us and for others, they are just basically based on our interdependence and compassion. Right? And then, in most of these things, although maybe applied ethics has much more details into it, but there's a very systematic approach to how to learn it then. And Venerable Geshe also spoke about C learning, right? So that a whole system based on a basic assumption or an assertion on lived experiences, interdependence, then the goal, as well as how to achieve it, right? So it begins to feel like, the Four Noble Truths. Now there is a path, and then, the path is there because we want to achieve that, right? So a path also has been laid out here, and which is something that I deeply respect about this system, right? It's well thought out, but it answers to a philosophical query, it answers to a practice query, as well as it is neutral and universal. You don't need to depend on any assumptions. You don't need to depend on rebirth, for example, right? You don't do anything which is probably can't be experienced. You don't need to depend on that to be ethical under this framework. That's why it should be much more easier to accept. And with the West also starting to think about care ethics, I think the gelling of these things is something that makes me very, very optimistic about the world. Thank you. I'd like to end there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lokeshji, for highlighting the major emphasis found in both the Western and the Eastern philosophies, talking about the four cardinal truths and the Kantian categorical imperative, and highlighting the fact that relational ethics, thank you for bringing in the feminine element, and how we have to move from the normative to the humanistic. But I think one common thread that I find in all the presentations today, including Geshe-la's introduction, that compassion in action and the realization of compassion is the most important factor in our lives. So I don't think so there is any time for question answers. I would like to thank all the speakers for their valuable contribution, and thank Tibet House, the staff, and the director, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdullah, who has been working tirelessly to bring people together and also realizing the vision of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, who has been the source of inspiration for all of us. So I just end by reading a short quote by His Holiness. The essence of all spiritual life is your emotion, your attitude towards others. Once you have pure and sincere motivation, all the rest follows. You can develop this right attitude towards others on the basis of kindness, love, and respect, and so on. Plus the clear realization of the oneness of all human beings, unquote. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much, our esteemed chairperson, Professor Renuka Singh Ji, for chairing this session on the panel discussion on universal ethics, and to our distinguished panelists, Professor T.K. Mishra Ji, Venerable Professor Kaveri Gill Ji, Mr. Jas Kaura, Mr. Lokesh Jindala, for graciously accepting this invitation and presenting a very insightful presentation in front of you. Thank you very much, everyone. Now may I take this very opportunity, before I conclude this panel discussion session, I would like to invite our director, Honorable Geshe Abdullah, to kindly offer the white scarf and the souvenir to Mr. Jas Karwa, the president of the Earth Savers Foundation, Delhi NCR, and for the indispensable contribution and service he and his organization has made to the very humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a huge round of applause. Thank you, Geshila. Thank you, Mr. Jas Karwa. Now with this, we have come to the conclusion of the panel discussion on universal ethics, and it is a deep joy for me as I can see a very vibrant and a colorful audience today who has joined with us to celebrate the very 36th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. With this, we come to the conclusion of the panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen, and I request our esteemed chairperson and our distinguished panelists and Venerable Geshe Abdullah to kindly take the front row seat. And as we begin the culture performance now, I request my colleagues to kindly come up on stage and help us prepare the stage for the dance performance. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly stay tuned with us as we prepare the stage for the dance performances. And I would also like to request my colleague, Ms. Karna Sishula, the Manila Course Coordinator, to kindly proceed with the next session of the culture performance we have for all of you today. Thank you. Now, before we move on to the culture performance, my apologies, I forgot to mention that we have a ceremony of the completion of certificate for the 29 batch of Tibetan language course and the conferment of these certificates to its students. May I kindly request our director, Venerable Geshe Abdullah, to kindly come on stage and present the certificate of completion to the students of 29 batch of Tibetan language course. I'm very delighted to inform you that we have completed the 29 batch of Tibetan language course. And as we have made the announcement, today we have 6 students who have joined with us today for this very conferment of certificates for the completion of the 29 batch of Tibetan language course. Ladies and gentlemen, first may I call upon Ms. Sonam Nanda from beginners level of 29 batch of TLC. Ms. Sonam Nanda. And then we have Mr. Arpit Bodh from the beginners level. May I request you to kindly come up on stage and receive the white scarf and the certificate of completion from Venerable Geshe Abdullah. Then we have Ms. Dakshita from the beginners level. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a huge round of applause for their very dedication to learn this subject and to learn the language of Tibetan. And then we have Ms. Lobsang Drema from intermediate level of 29 batch of TLC, followed by Mr. Himraj Dang from the intermediate level. Then we have Ms. Sonam Dolma from the advanced level of 29 batch of TLC. Thank you, Kishla. And I thank all the participants from the 29 batch of TLC and congratulate them on behalf of everyone who is present here. Now with this, as I can see, the stage is prepared for the excellent and wonderful dance performances we have for all of you today. So before we move on, may I now request Ms. Kamasichula to kindly come on stage and lead the moderation for the culture dance performance session. Thank you. And I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your presence. So we have now successfully completed the panel discussion on universal ethics. For the second round, we have cultural performance by various groups. So I hope you all like it and enjoy. And for the first, we have Tashi Shopa dance. Let me first introduce you about the dance. Tashi Shopa dance is one of the most treasured traditional dances of Tibet, deeply rooted in our cultural and spiritual heritage. This vibrant and joyful dance is traditionally performed to mark auspicious occasions and to invoke blessings of peace, prosperity, and good fortune. So we have Tashi Shopa dance by the young talents of TCV Day School Samiling. Please give a big round of applause. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, hello.
thank you very much to the TCV Sameling school staff and to all the school kids. And for the next, we have Miss Tenzin Leman, who will perform a solo song along with Mr. Siring Topgella from Arunachal Pradesh, who will play the guitar. Thank you, everyone.
Julie and Tashideleg, everyone. Today I'm going to sing a song. The song is dedicated to His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, on his 36th anniversary. So I will deeply grateful to Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdala and Tibet House for giving me this opportunity to sing on this special occasion. So with me, my friend sitting on guitar. So here we go. Nobel jingde sing ta kong sa chula phul sum gavala tanga hawa skidola tang skila do zam ling shi de sing ta kong sa chula phula sum zam ling shi de sing ta kong sa chula phula sum Chilo gagilo la Nobel jingde sing ta kong sa chula phulwa shide gel khaglo hoi jichi phumi uti nang bayong ki gon kya zamling shide de pa Tenzin gazo Gavala tanga hawa Skidola tang skilado Nobel jinde senta Kong sa chola pela so Nobel jinde senta Kong sa chola pela so Ganjun Jesu Liski nang wakab ni Gavi tunyang spulyo Skipido katabyuk Sangitin patar so Zamlim shine kyab so Rangwang am se pa chola chado gawala tanga hawa skidula tang skilado gawala tanga hawa skidula tang skilado zamling shi di sing tao kong sa chola Zamling shi di sing tao Kong sa chola pela so Zamling shi di sing tao Kong sa chola pela so Pela so Pela so
Thank you, Ms. Tenzin Leman and Mr. Siring Topkela for your wonderful performance. Moving to the next, we have Mr. Tenzin Leman from FIR, Foundation for Universal Responsibility. So he will perform a solo song in tribute of His Holiness 14th Dalai Lama's 86th anniversary. May I please welcome Mr. Tenzin Leman.
First of all, namaste and Julie to everyone. So the title of my song is called Long Live His Holiness, and I really hope that you all will enjoy this song along with me. Thank you. yang pe zampunya dikirim syaso yang pe zampunya dikirim syaso kusu cita tishi suya chuki tanje turki chan se tampa jam kui shi mo pu turki chan se tampa jam kui shi mo pu kuze shapete pasho kuze shapete pasho kuze shapete pasho kuze shapete pasho学了才能弄人。咱们等不等不。Kue pun tanpa Chusi Nimeuki Zamli Paseso Chusi Nimeuki Zamli Paseso Champe Dati Chomshi Dame tinche lama kutse shapete pasho Lai tsave lama kutse shapete pasho Kuntu guchu pepe Tashi ni mashaso kuze shapetempe tashi luya pi kuze shapetempe tashi luya pi Salah bien ba kuze shapetempe pasho kuze shapete pasho kuze shapete pasho kuze shapete pasho kuze shapete pasho Wonderful for Salibus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tenzin Leman. So next we have a group dance group song called Yerki, which is a song as a tribute to His Holiness titled Tenzin Gyatso Lama by the Flowering Dharma members. Thank you, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you to the Flowering Dharma members. And moving next, we have another dance performance by Flowering Dharma members, which is a group dance on a Mumba song, which is a Kinnaur song, a tribute to the nature. Thank you.
presence of mind.
Thank you once again to all the Flowering Dharma members. So the last performance of this evening will be from Tibet House staffs presenting their modern contemporary Tibetan dance. Please welcome on the stage. Thank you to all the Tibet House staff. So we have now come to the end of the cultural performance. So now may I request Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdullah to kindly present the white scarf and certificates to the TCV Day School children and the staff members. So first, I would like to request Mr. Migmat Siringla, who is the headmaster of the senior school. I would like to request Mr. Migmat Siringla to please collect the certificates on behalf of the students later, or might now. Next, I would like to call up on stage Ms. Dolma Siringla to kindly. Next, Mr. Tenzin Leman, please come up on stage. Thank you everyone. Now I would like to request our secretary, Mr. Tenzin Kunjabla. Over to our secretary.
Now I would like to welcome the students of the 14th Dharma group to please come up on the dais, and I would like to request Humanitarian to felicitate the students as well. Yeah, please everyone.
Yeah, I will come. Take two first.
Let me quickly share with you a little bit about the 14th Dharma. You may be wondering what this is all about. 14th Dharma is a student's body which was started by Mr. Tashi Namgyal. And years ago, it's about like 16 years ago, that he started this when he was a college student himself in Hanraj College under Delhi University. And then he was blessed by His Eminence, the Most Venerable Shunga Rinpoche, blessed him, inspired him to take this course to direct all the young boys and girls from the Himalayan belts, not only Ladakhis. He's extremely inclusive. He was inclusive of the Ladakhi boys and girls, and from Arunachal, Sikkim, Laos, Spiti, Kinnaur, and the Tibetans, and everybody along the line, to be a very compassionate, to learn how to be compassionate, to lead a meaningful life, not go into drugs, not to go into alcohols, but to lead a very meaningful life. This is what he did. in line with to fulfill the aspirations of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, that the world should be a better, more compassionate, and a happy world. So this is what it is, and we are so happy that we have Jimala here, the young girl, raise your hand, Jimala, and she is currently the president of Dharma Delhi chapter. So, and all the boys and girls here is truly inspiring to see the young boys and girls. They are all joining this this program, the institution Dharma now growing, and to take part in these programs is so meaningful to inspire many others to go in the direction of compassion and inclusivity, compassion, and happiness and harmony. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Tenzin Leman to kindly come up on the stage. Now I would like to request Venerable Geshe to please felicitate our Tibet House staff members. Mr. Kumar Chandala, Mr. Tenzin Lepsangla, Mr. Tenzin Pesangla, Ms. Penda Donla, and Ms. Tenzin Mandrila. I would like to request all the students and teachers who have performed today to please join us on the stage for a quick group photo. Please come up on the dais. All the artists are requested to please join us for a group photo. Thank you, Venerable Geshe-la. On behalf of Tibet House, New Delhi, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers and our chairperson and all the artists and all the participants for joining with us to celebrate the 36th anniversary of His Holiness being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. I hope you found this event both enjoyable and informative. So as we go back to our homes, we have the responsibility to take the message from this event and share it with your family and friends. Sure. So we have two upcoming programs of Tibet House. On 14th of December, this Sunday, we are celebrating the 606th Yeah, 606th anniversary of J. Tsongkhapa's Parinirvana at Tibet House. We will be undertaking the aspirational Bodhisattva vows led by our director, Venerable Geshe Damdula. It will be at 6 p.m. and it will be live streamed simultaneously on 6 different languages and on Tibet's YouTube channel. And we also have a film screening on His Holiness's a film screening on His Holiness. The name of the film is Impermanence, directed by the famous director Mr. Gautam Ghosh. He's from Bengal. This will be on 2nd of January, and the event will also be followed by a lecture on Karuna Katha by Dr. Shobhana Radhakrishna ji. It will be in this very hall, City Deshmukh Auditorium, on 2nd Jan from 6 to 8 p.m. IST. So I welcome you all to join us on that event as well. We hope you found this event helpful. So I hope to see you all in our future conferences and events of Tibet House. And if you wish to be part of our newsletters, you can subscribe to our newsletter by sending us an email to programs@tibethouse.in. And you can also keep update from our website, www.tibethouse.in. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter, and we have our YouTube channel as well. With this, we have come to the end of today's event. Thank you all for joining us, and we have arranged a high tea for all of you at the lawn, so please join us. Thank you.